Today's employment picture is a complex one. Overall, employment may be on the up, but youth unemployment remains worryingly high. And even once they're in the workplace, graduates face intense competition.
For many people in their 20s, determining the business skills needed for success isn't immediately obvious. I went through the graduate mill, survived, and now I'm managing director of a healthcare company based here in London. From my experience, I believe there's a need to teach and explain more practical skills to young people entering the workforce.
This is one of my first bosses, Claire Perry, who I worked with at Imperial College Healthcare NHS Trust, and where I learnt a big lesson in delivering the right work in good time. One week, I had to prepare a presentation for her. We met a week before she was due to give it, but I was juggling the usual busy workload and hadn't yet managed to write it.
So I decided to take her through an outline of the slides and the key points for each one. The following week, though, when I thought I'd be able to finish the presentation, I was bombarded with other tasks. I ended up writing the presentation a couple of hours before the meeting.
When my boss stood up to give the presentation to a boardroom of really rather senior people, she started stuttering and seemed lost, something that wasn't like her at all.
Watching Claire, I came over with a feeling of panic. The problem was, that morning I decided to change some of the content of the slides and had also reordered them to what I thought was a better flow and fit. But of course Claire had no idea. To her, each slide was a mystery.
Although I thought I completed the task, I'd only focused on my goal. I'd completely failed to think about it from my boss's perspective. Something Claire said she doesn't find surprising for a young starter.
They don't know the culture of work, they don't know what's expected of them probably, and they're feeling unsure about their output. So I think it's very important for them always to have a good induction, and lots of organisations do that very well, and I think it's very important for them to understand some of the very basic expectations. And one of the things that really gets me is so fundamental: timekeeping. I used to run the induction programme at Imperial, and we would have people coming in, and this is their first interaction with the organisation, and they're late. So getting the basics right, I think, is a good start.
Being delivery focused can be difficult for young people entering the working world, full of drive and ambition, but without much of an idea of what your boss really wants from you.
Before I worked for Claire, I was on the National Health Service graduate training programme. My boss was Nicola Grinstead, who made it clear what my job entailed. Nicola taught me a lot, but even though I thought I was prepared, I still had a lot to learn.
Sometimes if you're working in a big and complex organisation, there are lots of distractions and it's really easy to lose focus. I think it's really important that you think about what outputs you want to achieve and work backwards from that. Set yourself key milestones, set yourself key targets and stay focused on delivering those things. Don't feel that you have to do it by yourself. Speak to your manager, speak to other people working with you, check that you're on the right track, ask for help where you need it, but stay focused.
Being strategic is fundamental to your early achievements. Simply putting in the extra hours won't necessarily result in success if what you're delivering is of no use to your boss. Consider the sales rep who starts early and leaves late, but whose end of quarter results are lower than anyone else's. He may have called everyone on his list, but wouldn't it have been better to focus on a short list of clients for whom the product was a better fit and more likely to end in a sale?
It's also no use if no one sees what you're delivering. A point made by my current boss here at my healthcare company, Beacon.
But I think she does. It's really important to let other people in your team, in your organisation, know what you're doing, share your achievements. There is a line between being assertive and ambitious in your career versus being precocious and annoying. And my advice would be to young people who want to gain that experience, who are ambitious, that it's always worth asking in an open way rather than a pushy way, because it's as much about the tone with which you use to ask the question as it is what you're asking for help with.
So what's my advice to 20-somethings trying to succeed at work? Keep in mind these 3 points. 1, make sure you're delivering the task that you're actually employed to do, and also be strategic about it when needed. Remember to not get distracted from the task in hand like I did. 2, really understand the role that you've been given and make sure you're fully aligned with your boss. And 3, when you have done well, make sure that your boss and other people know about it. Learning how to be proud of your success will be invaluable for the future. Jenny Palmer, Financial Times.